Hello and welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today at the first ever Basketball New South Wales Holiday Online Festival. Today's event is brought to you by Basketball New South Wales and co-funded by the New South Wales Government and Basketball New South Wales as part of the New South Wales Legacy Program. The Legacy Program is supporting the New South Wales Government's strategic focus on women and girls in sport through the Her Sport, Her Way program and basketball goals to move towards gender equality. Now, let's introduce our host for today, the amazing Martha Lowry Bird. Martha is a sports exercise scientist. Martha is working with Basketball New South Wales on the FIBA Women's World Cup Legacy Program, promoting women and girls in basketball. Now, enough from me. Over to you, Martha. Tell us about this amazing lineup you've got today.
Thank you, Adam, and welcome everyone to the 1 year to go FIBA Women's World Cup Zoom with three very special guests joining us. I will introduce each of our guests and talk through the journey to now and, of course, what lies ahead in exactly 12 months' time. Then there will be time towards the end of the Zoom to post your questions in the chat, so get them ready. There will also be links that you can see in the chat for you to subscribe to the newsletter, gain first access to tickets, and follow the FIBA World Cup, Women's World Cup social media accounts. So let's get started. Firstly, I would like to introduce Lorraine Landon, the FIBA Women's World Cup General Manager of Event Operations. Welcome, Lorraine.
Thank you. Lovely to be here.
Thank you for your time. Look, last time Australia hosted a World Cup was 27 years ago. Could you tell us a little bit about what that was like?
Well, it was fantastic, and I'm so pleased to be here with 1 year to go. It's an exciting day for us today, and hopefully all the young boys and girls online will be interested to hear about it. But 1994, we had Oz 94, first time Australia had seen such amazing female basketballers, and it was sensational. Australia actually finished in the semi-final, and we played the finals at the Entertainment Centre, which of course doesn't exist anymore. But it was great for basketball, and it enabled us to really showcase our WNBL and females playing the game at a really high level. So it was a wonderful time for both Sydney and Australia.
Thanks, Lorraine. And of course, there was someone very special watching that unfold at the time. And I would like you to introduce you to her now. And that, of course, is Lauren Jackson, the official FIBA Women's World Cup 2022 ambassador and Australian Opal. And recently, Lauren was officially enshrined into the James Naismith Memorial Hall of Fame, the only Australian athlete to hold the honour. She was the first Australian to be selected as the #1 overall draft pick in the WNBA, named as an All-Star 7 times during her career, won 2 WNBA championships, 3 WNBA MVPs. She is a 4-time Olympian, competed in 4 FIBA World Championships, a Commonwealth Games gold medalist, and she holds 6 WNBL championships. And currently, Lauren Jackson is the head of Women in Basketball for Basketball Australia, with a special focus on ensuring success for the next generation of girls. Welcome, Lauren Jackson.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a special day.
Look, I know I speak on behalf of us all here today to say we're extremely excited to have you join us on such a special day, 1 year out. Look, I'm guessing you were watching back in 1994. And firstly, how did that inspire you? And do you think next year's World Cup can do the same?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, in 1994, I was playing in under 14s, I think, an under 14 state championship in Sydney in Bankstown with Albury. And I think we actually went on to win that year. And my parents came up and went to Oz 94 and watched some games with my little brother while I was playing state championships. So I was really disappointed I didn't get to see them. But my brother became a lifelong fan of Michelle Timms, which is pretty incredible because he doesn't really love the sport as much as what I do. But look, it made a huge impact. I think just the visibility and being able to see, you know, our Australian icons in particular out there playing basketball and doing so well was just incredible. But then you had so many other athletes from, you know, all across the world in Australia, and being able to see them competing definitely inspired my generation. And I think that was evident in the years to come when, you know, girls my age were coming through, and we really had a great run with the national team because we saw what was possible. So I really think it's going to be the same next year, and it's just such an exciting time, you know, for basketball in this country.
Look, it really is an opportunity to see it and be it, isn't it, when it's right there on your doorstep?
Oh, absolutely. And it's not just that. I think it's just the accessibility and the visibility of the athletes. You know, it's there in our backyards, and people are going to be able to come from all over Australia and really just see the incredible talent that women's basketball is. You know, it's from America to China to Russia to all the countries that play our sport at such a great level. They're going to be able to witness it, you know, and the best WNBA players in the world. It's really exciting.
It is, and we will come back to you, Lauren, because there's going to be a lot of questions for you in the chat. But if I can just introduce you to our final guest today, and that is Maria Nordstrom. Maria is the CEO of Basketball New South Wales. She's the director on the FIBA Women's World Cup local organising committee and head of the Legacy Advisory. Welcome, Maria.
Thank you for having me. Lovely to see you all. Yeah.
Thank you for joining us. Look, hosting the World Cup is already having an impact at the junior level. So can you talk us through some of those initiatives and also how kids can get involved in the World Cup legacy programs?
Absolutely. Part of the, I guess, strategic thinking around bringing the World Cup to Sydney and New South Wales was the impact that these legacy programs potentially could have on all you children and people that are watching today. So the focus is to have more girls involved. So under the umbrella of I'm a Girl, we obviously created a platform with various programs that girls can be involved with at all levels, from young age of probably 5, 6, 7, all the way up to adults participating in the leadership program. So our aim is to move towards that equity where we have more girls and women and girls involved in the sport in New South Wales. And that is aligned to the strategy that Lauren is working on in and around Basketball Australia. So what we want is to have more programs that allows girls to come into to basketball and want to continue to participate in basketball. So that's what the Legacy for the Women and Girls is about. In the second part of the legacy is that we want to provide more opportunities for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander children and youth, as well as kids that come from multicultural backgrounds and could have a variety of reasons why it's more challenging to participate in our sport. So the programs that we put together in that stream is really for children from those areas in Sydney, Western Sydney, and regional New South Wales have an opportunity to participate in these programs, to have a flavour and a taste of basketball, have an opportunity to look at, you know, how the World Cup is run and participate in those activities when we get closer to the event.
Yeah, because I guess the whole idea is that we want to use the opportunity of the Women's World Cup to create more opportunities for women and girls in basketball, just not in the lead up to the World Cup, but even beyond that. Would that be right, Maria?
Absolutely. So we see this as a springboard for us to start programs of this nature, to be able to run them through the World Cup and post the World Cup and continue providing these opportunities for girls and for obviously these kids from multicultural Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander backgrounds as well to participate more in our sport. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Maria. And back to you, Lauren. I mean, obviously it's going to be so exciting to have an Australian crowd there. What impact did having an Australian crowd have on your particular performance or the Australian Opals performance, do you think?
Look, anytime we put on the green and gold, we knew that, obviously we were representing Australia, but to do it at a World Cup or an Olympic Games or a Commonwealth Games on home soil it was just the best. It gave us a platform that we never really had, especially even at the Olympics. The whole of Australia got right behind us when we were playing. They knew all of our names, they knew what we were doing, and that's just a platform that a World Cup or an Olympic Games will give you. So to be able to do it at home and really just have the eyes of the nation on our girls, it's a really exciting time. And for it to be in New South Wales for me personally is super special because I'm a New South Wales girl, born and bred. And yeah, just look, I think it's going to really make a huge impact, particularly on participation and people just wanting to get involved in the sport. So, I commend Maria and BNSW and all the work that they're doing. It's really fantastic, and hopefully we really can create that really special legacy from it.
Thank you. And Lorraine, back to you. I mean, this is the most important FIBA women's basketball event on the calendar, and certainly the biggest opportunity to see these players ourselves. So can you tell us a little bit about who has qualified, how many teams there'll be, and when do the other nations that haven't yet qualified get a chance to fight for their spot?
Well, we'll have 12 teams, Martha, and those teams already, we have 2 qualified. One is the USA. Anybody that's just watched the Tokyo Olympics would have seen USA perform there, and they're a great team. And some of those players, Lauren played against over many years, and it's fantastic to see that some of those girls have been involved for so long and are still so good, and the standard of the game is just sort of rising almost yearly. We also have Australia as the host nation, so we're qualified. And over the last 18 months, there have been a number of zone tournaments, so one in Europe, one in Asia, one in Africa and the Americas, and teams have qualified out of that will go and play in the qualification tournament in February of next year. So it'll start around about the 4th of February. Australia and USA will still have to play as well, but we're automatically qualified. So, out of Asia, I'm sure we're going to see Japan and China here. I hope we see Brazil. Brazil is one of my favorite countries. And as Lauren will know, Lauren was on the dais. I was cheering on the sideline when in 2006 we won the gold medal in Brazil. And I think back in 94, one of the things that I think captivated the Sydney audiences was just the love of the game of Brazil and how they played the game. And it's just such fun. Their supporters were amazing. So I really hope that they qualify in February. And then we'll get the Europeans. And there's been a push, new team that's probably, or new country that's on the horizons now is Belgium. And they are really playing some great basketball, and you see a couple of those players play in the WNBA. So, it's the absolute smorgasbord of fantastic athletes. And Brittany Greiner is from the USA. She's now dunking the ball pretty much. I think, Lauren, a couple of days ago, she 2 or 3 in one game. So, you're going to see this fantastic athletes. And I love the fact that the World Cup, you just see different styles. And I think when you're a young girl learning the game, it's you don't want to be the same as everybody. You want to have something different in your game. And that's what made Lauren so fantastic. She had so many different, she could shoot the 3, she could get the ball in underneath, she could make a shot from the foul line. So you want to just be watching these girls and just seeing how they do things and just be inspired by them. So I can't wait. 1 year to go.
Absolutely, absolutely. And now's the time to pop some questions in the chat for Lauren. They're already coming in. So if you want your question, you just pop them in now. But just before I go to those, Lorraine, I believe there's a little bit of a teaser that you might be able to give us to something special being revealed tonight. Is that right? Did I hear that correctly? Yes.
So I see that you've got the newsletter. We want all you kids to join up for the newsletter, and you'll be sent information as it's happening, and we know when the tickets will go on sale. We will know the draw in March of next year. So early March, FIBA will come to Sydney and we will have a big presentation of the draw, and Lauren will be there as our ambassador. So that will be exciting. But tonight, around about 6, we will introduce the mascot. And I won't tell you the name, but I'll leave that as a secret. But it's a good, iconic Australian icon. That's the best way I can say it. So look forward to that.
And we can see that on social media from 6 to 9. Is that right?
6 o'clock. Yes, from 6 to 9. Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you so much. Lauren, look, there are quite a few questions where people are wanting to know about your experience in the World Cup. How many of you played in? What happened? Can you talk through what it was like for you as a player in the World Cup?
Look, I think my first World Cup was probably, well, I mean, obviously winning a gold medal in a World Cup was special, but my very first World Cup, I was really young. I can't remember how old I was. I was 16 or 17. 17 maybe?
16, yeah, 16.
Yeah, I was a baby. And look, I was so young, you know, and coming in and playing with all of those incredible athletes that I looked up to and completely admired. And then playing against the likes of, you know, just some of the Russian girls who, some of them are in the Hall of Fame now as well. But like at that point, Russia was just such a huge world power in the sport. And like it was so overwhelming. But it was fun, you know, and I guess the moral of that story is that it doesn't matter how old you are. If you love the game, there's pathways to the elite. And at 16, I'd come from New South Wales basketball to the AIS or the COE in Canberra and then straight into the national team. And I mean, that's how quickly it can happen. If you really have those aspirations and those dreams, you follow them and you live by them. You know, that's who you are and you follow them and you never know where it'll take you.
Absolutely. What a great message. I've been asked another good question is, what is the best advice you have been given in your career that you feel would be appropriate to share with this audience now?
Oh my gosh, I've had so much advice given to me over the years. It's actually hard to remember all of it.
Well, maybe a piece of advice from Lauren Jackson to everyone today.
Yeah. Look, I guess my advice is if you love the game, if you have fun doing it, it's just to follow it, just to, you know, have faith in the pathways and where it can take you. Nothing is, you know, impossible in this day and age. And we have the infrastructure, we have the facilities, we have the pathways. So just follow your heart. Like if basketball is what you want to do, get out there and play. It can give you so much. You know, I think for me, it really taught me how to work with people and how to sort of, I guess, become resilient. And that's probably one of the biggest things I've taken from basketball is just this level of resilience that I don't think I could have ever got if I had not been a team athlete and really embraced those qualities of being a team athlete. So I would say that I guess you don't really know while you're in it what it's doing for you personally, but basketball can give you so much.
Absolutely, absolutely. Just to give you a breather there for a minute, Lauren, because the questions are coming in thick and fast, but just to let you catch your breath, there is a quick question for Maria and Lorraine. One is, Maria, about how people get involved in the legacy programs, and one for Lorraine is whether people can actually volunteer to help at the World Cup. So over to you, ladies.
You wanted me to go first, Lorraine?
Yes,
I'll jump in. Yes, sure. Thank you, everybody. In regards to the legacy programs, we'd suggest that you actually subscribe to when there's a newsletter as well for the I'm a Girl program. And if you do subscribe to that newsletter, you will also get the calendar when events are being run in various locations. And the other part is, if you go to and join our Facebook group, you will also see all of the events are also advertised on that feed, as well as our website. So there's a number of areas you can have a look, and also talk to your local association and club and encourage them, if they don't have a run that is actually scheduled, to ensure that it is scheduled, because they can work with our development officers to provide the opportunities in those areas where you are.
Fabulous, fabulous. And Lorraine?
Yes, well, we'd love to have a lot of you girls, as long as you're 16 or over, involved with the as a volunteer next year, and there'll be lots of different positions. We're looking at probably around 350 volunteers, and my aim certainly is to source those volunteers through our basketball association. So watch for when those that information goes out. You know, get your mum or your dad involved as well. We're looking for lots of different people, drivers, people to work around the courts, the training venue. So it's a lot of fun. Anybody that's been able to work in a big event, and even national championships are fun to work in. So this is going to be the world event. So if you're 16, love to have you a part of it. And that will come out probably early next year in January, that we will launch the program, and then there will be a month or so for people to express some interest. But we will be doing expressions of interest through the newsletter. So make sure you're get yourself on that mailing list, and then you'll know what's happening.
Fabulous. Very, very exciting. Back to you, Lauren. There's a question there about, as a teenager, how many hours a day did you train?
I mean, when I was selected into an intensive training program, which was through BNSW at that point in time when I was about 12. And I think from then I sort of started getting gym programs, you know, and sort of had to shoot every day. And I reckon, you know, on average, I was probably on court at least an hour a day. And that was from being young, 12, 13, 14. And then as I got older, I was with the Australian junior team. I had different teams. I was training a lot. So it sort of ramped up, and it was more like 2 to 3 hours a day, training sessions with teams in Albury, in New South Wales, Australian junior team, and then the senior team. So it, you know, and then as I got to 15, 16, I was at the AIS, and I reckon I probably did about 3 to 4 hours a day of training, and then including gym sessions and then physio and recovery and everything on top of that, and school somewhere. It's a bit of a juggle, but you know, as you sort of step up and go through the pathway, it does become, you know, more demanding, but that's how you get to where you got to get to, you know, if that's what you want to do.
And obviously a mix there of individual training, team training, S&C, a whole mix there.
Absolutely. And I, especially when I was still in Albury, so before I was 16, I was 15, I was outside training, just shooting hoops all the time in our garden. You know, we had a little quarter court set up, and, you know, that's where I trained more often than not. I was just out in the backyard with a ball in my hand, just, you know, doing skills, dribbling skills and shooting the ball as much as I could.
Sounds great, and very appropriate, I guess, for a lot of people in lockdown at the moment, that you know, it is just about getting out the front and doing that. A question, what did you eat before a game?
Don't want to know. I'm probably not the best on nutrition, but I was one of those athletes that I just went along with it. I pretty much ate whatever came at me. If there was anything handy and quick, I would normally eat it. You know, I think if I had focused a little bit more on nutrition and looking after my body in that sense, I may have, you know, played a few more years extra. So I guess if I could turn back the time a little bit, I would have taken more notice of my nutrition and the way that I really took care of my body. So stretching, like making sure you always stretch and get warmed up properly, warm down. Food, nutrition, what you put into your body to fuel yourself is so important, especially for longevity.
Great advice, fantastic advice. And a question about, I guess, resilience, which is really appropriate at the moment, and, you know, what people have been through in the last, you know, year and a half, I guess. How did you get through tough times? Because there's always tough times in an athlete's life. And what advice do you have?
You know, for me personally, I guess I was a little bit of a case study in the sense that I really did have a lot of sort of anxiety issues growing up. And then in basketball, I was a country kid from Albury. I was so afraid of everything. But for me, it was just about putting one foot in front of the other, you know, and that was it. Like, I just had to keep moving forward. I knew if I was scared, if I was feeling a certain kind of way, it wouldn't stop me. I'd still have the anxiety, but I would keep moving forward. And that's sort of how I've dealt with life, you know. There's always challenges, and there's always things that could be potential barriers or that could stop you from reaching your very best. But if you're willing to be courageous and take that next step, you never know where it'll take you. And I think for me, that was the best advice that my mother gave me, is just keep moving forward. You're going to be okay, you know? And so that's sort of what got me through all that time. And now I'm a 40-year-old woman, and I feel probably stronger than I ever did as a young person. So
fabulous. And then you had great advice from your mum that you can then pass on as well. So that's fantastic advice, and it really is about one step at a time. And so I've had a question that's a little bit different from the others. Who would you say was your hardest ever opponent?
I mean, I had a few throughout my career, but I would say, look, I think the most popular rivalry in our sport was with Lisa Leslie. She was the center for the American national team. So when I was growing up, I absolutely idolized her. And then I had to play against her, and that was through the national teams, the USA national team and Basketball Australia, and then over in the WNBA. So we had a long career sort of playing against each other, and it was always a battle. And we're still not, you know, best friends, obviously. But I have the utmost respect for her and her ability. And she, you know, for me, especially as I was growing up, she was like my queen, you know. So it was pretty cool when I got to play against her. She taught me a few lessons, that's for sure. Sylvia Fowles, you know, she's another player that's just been mentioned in the top 25 over in the WNBA. She's just an unbelievable athlete in terms of her strength and her physical ability, her ability to move. So she was a tough one because she always guarded me so strong. You know, I was able to beast people a little bit in the block. I wasn't able to beast her, so.
Great insights. But you've had the most amazing playing career. What, if you could name it, is your most memorable moment?
Oh, look, there were a lot of wonderful moments along the way. You know, I can't go past the World Cup gold, our World Championship gold medal. That was, you know, without a doubt, just like being, you know, on cloud nine. It was just so special. And for me personally, all I wanted to do as a youngster was play for Australia like my parents did. And to be able to win a World Cup was just so special. And, you know, it really, Lorraine was there, Bob Elphingston, Tom Maher. I don't know if many of you know Tom Maher, but he was the Australian coach for a long time before Jan Sterling took over. So he sort of, I guess, set the foundation for us moving forward, and really brought this like tough culture that really drove us for a long period of time. And so he was there, and to be able to win that in front of everybody in Brazil, where, like Lorraine said, the Brazilian fans are just so passionate. It was so special. But the rest of it, it was just the journey, you know, the people that you meet, the teammates, the friendships that you make, which are for a lifetime. And it was a journey. There were ups and downs, but I guess at the end of the day, it was all really special.
Yeah. And a question, where do you put all your awards and medals and trophies? And, where is all this?
Well, they're in the garage, but like some of the Olympic medals and things are in like libraries and things like that, museums and stuff.
Yeah.
But, you know, the basketball stadium here as well has some of my memorabilia. But, yeah, I haven't done anything with it yet. I want to, but it kind of feels weird doing that for me and my kids in our own house. So I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. Have a look at it one day, I suppose.
Yeah. And look, you've mentioned your parents and your brother. You've talked about your family. What influence, especially for young kids here at the moment, where their parents, I guess, are the ones driving them around and so forth, how big an influence were your parents on who you are and what you achieved?
Oh, look, without my parents and their support throughout my entire career, I mean, as a young person, like when I went to the AIS, I tried to sort of step away from that a little bit. I thought I was, you know, and you go out and you have friends and you're learning life away from that family unit. But, you know, my mum and dad have never wavered in their support and their unconditional love for me. And, you know, like I said, I've had ups and downs in my career and learned a lot. But my mum and my dad have been there through every step of the way. You know, injuries in America, my mum would be on a plane over to help me. If anything was happening internally, they were on a plane over to help me. They've sacrificed so much of their lives, supporting me, coming to Olympic Games, just being everywhere. And yeah, without them, I don't think I would have achieved what I did. It takes a village, it truly does. For me, I couldn't have done it alone. And even to this day, they live right next door to me. You know, they're just my best friends in the whole world. And that to me is just the most special thing, you know.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it is a huge village of support. Yeah. And that's really special to hear that from you. Of course, now being asked if you want your children to play basketball.
Yeah, I'd love them to. There's just so much opportunity in the sport. You know, I'd love my kids to really embrace it. And I guess coming from Albury as well, we've got a great tradition of the sport here and the pathways. You know, it's I want them to play, like Harry's 4, he's in Aussie Hoops already. He loves it. He thinks he's LeBron James. So it's pretty cool. I want my boys to play. I want them to be what they want to be, you know, whatever makes them happy. But I feel like sport really gives them a great foundation for the rest of their lives. It gives them skills that they would never get otherwise. So for me, so long as they're playing some type of sport where they're getting that social interaction, where they're learning, where they're being fit and active and healthy, especially as young people, it'll set them up for life. It doesn't matter how far they go. It matters what they take from the sport.
And it is a sport that just keeps on giving because there is just so much opportunity in it. Do you see yourself in another role? Like, say, I've been asked about you potentially coaching in this chat. Do you ever see yourself doing that?
Yeah, definitely. I think with my kids, you know, if they do want to play juniors and stuff, I would coach them. And yeah, that's a woman coaching young boys, and I plan on coaching them as much as I can through the pathways because I want to be there with them on that journey if that's the one they want to take. It's the same with any sport though. I think I would really try and have a connection with them in whatever they're doing because I feel like it's just like it's only natural, right, to want to be there and support them through it all. So yeah, look, I would love to coach them. In terms of coaching at any sort of real level, not yet. I have no desire. I'm loving what I'm doing in my role at BA. I just see so much opportunity to really make a difference. And I'm really happy with where I'm at.
Awesome. And look, we've only got a couple of minutes left and you've just led really nicely into, could you just talk a little bit about your role with Basketball Australia and the head of women's basketball there and what that means and the link, I guess, for that and the Women's World Cup here in 12 months' time?
Well, for the last 2 years, I've been heading up the WNBL under the same title, Head of Women in Basketball. But that's been largely very operational and pretty much solely focused on the WNBL. So now I'm sort of moving away from the WNBL, which is really exciting. And I get to start putting our women and girls strategy into life. And I mean, it's a huge body of work and there's a lot of work to be done to really get that plan into play. But it's something that is a bit of a passion project of mine. And we're doing a lot of research. We've partnered with La Trobe University, who are putting together a PhD report, which is really exciting. And that data that will really drive a lot of the programs that come out of the Women and Girls strategy, which is really exciting. I think it's giving us a lot of insights too into what needs to change, particularly at grassroots and community level, to keep women involved in the sport as athletes, as coaches and officials and administrators as well. So it's, yeah, I guess my new role is just giving us that platform to really move forward and take control of this space and make sure that we make it a really safe space for women and girls in our sport.
I guess, your final thoughts on the fact that the Women's World Cup's here next year, but then, of course, we have the Olympics in Brisbane in 2032. So can you see, just amazing opportunities there with hosting those two events and what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, it's such an exciting time. The next few years are just going to be incredible. the World Cup, it's sort of a little bit like it was back in 94. You know, we were leading up to 2000 at that point. And so when I was starting with the national team back then in sort of 96, 97, 98, we had a lot of regional games. We were heading out into regional towns in New South Wales and all around Australia, and playing lots of games, like our elite games, and so were the Boomers. So it's a great opportunity for basketball in our country to be seen, because you know that we're going to have a lot of tournaments down here. We're going to have a lot of games. You're going to see all your favourite players out there competing, and that is just such an exciting time for the sport. It gives us opportunities that we don't get ordinarily, and we haven't had for the last 10 to 15 years. So it's really exciting, and I just can't wait. I'm really excited to be in this role, and the World Cup is really going to kick off something super special for us.
Oh, we're just so thrilled to have you as the official ambassador for the FIBA Women's World Cup in 2022. We're absolutely thrilled to have been able to share some time with you today. I know the work that's really been going into this whole strategy. I mean, I remember we, all got together well before even the word COVID was in our vocabulary, and to see it, the opportunity for it to come to life through the World Cup opportunities, and then of course the Olympics, is just so exciting. And I just can't resist asking one more question that I've seen come through a few times now. People wanting to know if you still play socially at all.
Oh, I was playing socially. I was playing mixed basketball here in Albury, and every game I was getting complaints like, why is she playing? She shouldn't be able to play. She should, and it's like, mate, I have had like 50 operations on my body. I have had 2 kids. I'm about 40 kilos overweight, and people are still complaining about me playing basketball in my own stadium. Yeah, I have been playing. So yeah, long story short, my knee is actually blown up really bad, and I am going to see a doctor today about it. But the body is definitely a bit of a barrier for my personal participation in the sport, which makes me sad because I still dream about playing, and the rush of running out onto a court and the excitement and being involved in a team, and I really miss all of that stuff. So it's got to get the body right. Give it another year or so, I'll be right.
And is this you playing in the sport in the stadium named after you? That must be just so surreal. And how did that feel when you were told about that?
Oh, look, when that opportunity came up, it was, again, when I was in it, I never really embraced those moments, those really special moments where I was recognised. And looking back now, some of the things that happened during my career were so surreal and so special. And I'm glad I just get to enjoy them now, and especially with my kids and my family, with the people that I love.
Fabulous. Well, look, thank you so much to Lorraine and Lauren and Maria for your time on this really, really special day today. I can't wait for 12 months' time. We will definitely be following along on social media. The links have been posted in the chat. We'll also subscribe to the newsletter. Looking forward to opportunities for those first access to tickets. And we will be checking tonight after 6 o'clock to see the mascot. So I'll just throw back to Adam here. Over to you, Adam.
All right. Great job. Thank you so much for joining us today, Lauren, Lorraine, and Maria. Martha, thank you so much for hosting. Loved hearing the different journeys along the way and the paths through basketball. So exciting to hear that the Women's World Cup is going to be here next year. I was like Lauren, I was sitting in a Bankstown hotel room watching the women get their first medal. It was amazing. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye,
Thank you,
everybody.
Thank you, everybody.